In the year 2063, the world looked different. The once smog-filled skies of major cities were now clear, and the incessant hum of combustion engines had been replaced by the near-silent whir of electric vehicles. The transition hadn't been easy, but it was necessary. The world had finally embraced the future of energy. The shift began in the early 2020s, when the effects of climate change became impossible to ignore. Rising sea levels, extreme weather events, and a global temperature increase had forced the world to take action. The Paris Agreement, once a non-binding resolution, had been revised and strengthened, with countries around the world pledging to reduce their carbon emissions drastically. The energy sector, one of the largest contributors to global carbon emissions, was the first to undergo a transformation. Coal-fired power plants, once the backbone of many countries' energy grids, were phased out, replaced by renewable energy sources like wind, solar, and hydroelectric power. By 2030, solar and wind energy had become the norm. The technology had advanced to the point where it was not only more sustainable, but also more cost-effective than fossil fuels. Solar panels and wind turbines dotted landscapes around the world, and homes were equipped with battery storage systems that allowed them to store excess energy for use during periods of low production. But the transition to renewable energy wasn't without its challenges. The intermittent nature of wind and solar energy meant that there were times when the energy produced didn't meet demand. To overcome this, the world turned to a combination of energy storage solutions and a more diversified energy mix. Hydrogen, once considered a fringe energy source, became a key player in the energy sector. Using excess renewable energy, water was split into hydrogen and oxygen through a process called electrolysis. The hydrogen was then stored and used to generate electricity when needed, effectively acting as a giant battery. By 2040, the world had also seen a resurgence in nuclear power, but not in the way it had been used in the 20th century. Instead of large, centralized nuclear power plants, the focus had shifted to small modular reactors, SMRs. These reactors were safer, more flexible, and could be deployed in remote areas where renewable energy sources weren't as effective. The transportation sector had also undergone a significant transformation. Electric vehicles, EVs, had become the standard, with charging stations as common as gas stations once were. Advances in battery technology had made EVs more affordable and increased their range, making them a viable option for everyone. But the changes weren't just technological. The way people lived and worked had also changed. Energy efficiency had become a priority, with homes and businesses designed to minimize energy use. People had also become more conscious of their energy consumption, with smart devices that provided real-time feedback on energy use becoming commonplace. By 2063, the world's energy landscape had been transformed. Renewable energy sources, supplemented by hydrogen and nuclear power, had become the norm. Electric vehicles had replaced their gas-guzzling counterparts, and energy efficiency had become a way of life. But the journey wasn't over. Scientists were already looking to the next frontier of energy. Fusion power, once a pipe dream, was now within reach. If successful, it could provide a virtually limitless source of clean energy, further reducing the world's carbon emissions and paving the way for a truly sustainable future. The future of energy was bright. It had taken a global effort and significant technological advances, but the world had finally moved away from fossil fuels. The effects of climate change were still being felt, but with the changes that had been made, there was hope for a sustainable future. The story of the future of energy is one of innovation, resilience, and a commitment to sustainability. It's a story that shows that, when faced with a challenge, humanity can come together to find a solution. It's a story that gives us hope for the future. Subscribe